37 years after he took control of his country, Robert Mugabe's dethroning was so abrupt that many Zimbabweans did not realize their country had been transformed overnight. Samaz, a roadside fruit and vegetable seller who gave only his first name, said the first signs of change were the roadblocks set up central Harare and manned by twitchy soldiers. Although a little bit scary, I think this is good for us. It has been a long time, he said, adding that he hoped the army's move would improve the struggling economy. My beard is gray and I am still working in the street. There were brief exchanges of gunfire and explosions were reported overnight, and some civilians were beaten up by police. But the only damage reported from the dramatic power struggle was to the gate of a minister's home, after his guards put up a brief defense. Any injuries were treated in private. The Harare snatched from Mugabe's control on Wednesday looked very much as it had the previous day, but with an unfamiliar sense of exhilaration in the air for the many who opposed their president or were weary of his decades-long rule. People are excited because they are ready for change, said one official who asked not to be named. Mugabe is the only leader Zimbabwe has had since independence in 1980, and a fast-growing population means more than half its citizens were born under his rule. The apparently bloodless seizure of power, the army's insistence that it was engaged in a course correction of democracy rather than a coup, and the almost immediate return to something like routine all helped to allay the fears that a military intervention would normally stir up. I don't think things will get violent because they are doing this for the people. If they start shedding blood they can't do that anymore, said the official. That is why they told people to stay away from center of town unless they have business, so troublemakers cannot stir things up. There were traffic blocks and a few armored personnel carriers around one block of key government buildings in the heart of town, and traffic was a little lighter than usual, but there was little else to indicate a moment of historic change. Schools opened for classes, people queued for driving licenses and most of the country went to work as usual. I am doing business, and these politicians are doing their business, said one Zimbabwean from the mining sector, heading off on a planned trip to a concession. By midday even the roadblocks had gone, the armored personnel carriers that announced the start of military action were back in their barracks, and in the upmarket suburb of Borrowdale where Mugabe and many of his closest allies have their private homes there was no extra security visible. I don't know what I expected but I never thought the end would be so surreal. It is almost like a dream, the writer and activist Grace Mutandwe marveled on Twitter. Beyond Harare, the coup seemed even more illusory. Bulawayo is another country from Harare, said one technician in Zimbabwe's second city. Everything is normal here.